Okay, this is part 3 of how to braid an 8-string baling twine rope. Part 1 was how to practice your 8-string braid. Part 2 was to incorporate the new strings, and now part 3 is to finish it off with the buttons at the end and the eye loop with a button on the opposite end. Okay, so I'm going to show you. I tried to do this earlier on my baling twine rope, but there's strings all over the place. It makes it really hard to see. So just for the sake of showing, I braided some shoelace. I taped off where I want my button to be, because I don't want all my work to come undone. It's kind of hard to keep everybody in order. So find what would be corner strings. You'll need 4 of them out. You'll be pretty close. You'll have 2 like right next to each other, but it's no big deal. And then you can either tie these off or clip them or tape them, however you want to do it, so they're out of the way, so you don't get confused on which strings you need to work in. Okay, so first, now that we have 4 strings here, we're going to do a lanyard braid. So you got 1, go over the top, right, and down. I like to try to hold this because we're going to come up through this loop, okay? So over the top of the 2 of those and down. And then you grab this one. I'm trying to make it easy for everyone to see. Oh, I'm sorry. See, my hands drift. Go over the top and over the top. And this last one will go over the top and down through the loop. And that'll lock them all together. Okay? Try to pull them all as even as you can. You want a nice round button when you're done. And we're talking baling twine. So it's going to be close to as round as possible. So there is, you want to pull them tight, but not real tight, because you still have to take the last part of your strings and work them up through the middle. So that's your lanyard part. So the second part to this, take string, come under, right? Remember where this last loop is, because you're going to come back up under that one. And then come under the next one. This one, and come under that, come up. This last one, you're going to want to come up and under that loop. That locks all of those together. So it's all pretty loose right now. I have to sort of hold my knot, pull my strings individual, so they all tighten fairly evenly. Okay. And for the last part, so that is that knot. So that's the second part. Third part, you're going to want to take one of your strings, bring it around, and you can see where these 2 braids cross over and that one comes under. I use a crochet hook because you got to pull it up through the center, so you're going to want to come down between those, right through the middle, and then grab your string here and pull it up through the center. Okay. And these ones you can pull fairly tight. And you go backwards to the one you just passed up to come through, okay? And then that'll come over the top. That one aside, where it crisscrosses, and there's your third piece. Come under that. Okay. Grab it with your hook, pull it up through the center. Pull it snug. Backwards, grab this one. Go across. Find where your 3 strings are. Crisscross in one. up through the middle, grab it, pull it. Final string, come across. There's your two that crisscross, and this is your first one that you basically started. And in the middle, grab it and pull it up. Grab all your strings, pull them tight. Let's see, where are my four strings? Here they are, there they are. There's your button. Pull off your tape. That wasn't supposed to happen. You can use any tape that's going to hold your work in place. So there's that. So that'd be your end button, and you just cut it off here in your work, and then you can either singe it or leave it raw. Okay. Now I will show you how to get the button or the loop started, and then you will work the same button on the end of this. I've already started one, and what I did was I estimated about how large I wanted my loop, how much I can work with, and you separate with screwdrivers or a couple awls. Try to make a hole between the braids. Oh, I taped it to make like an eye, or not an eye, but like a needle. So it's easier to push through the holes. Okay. So now if you know of an easier way to do this, please let me know, because this is the only way I'd come up with. So I just kind of work the braid open where you have a hole that you can pull this through. And this is, I think, is the hardest part of the job, because that hole wants to close up on you. So I figure about how large I want my eye, okay? But we're going to need some room to work the button at this end. So I figure where I'm going to want my button in relation to how I want my eye. So I'll hold it here, but I'll pull that back, so I have room to tape this off again. I'm going to modify it. I'm going to tape that off, right? I'm going to pull off all this extra tape, undo my braid up to this point, and work my button. After my button's on, I can adjust these strings back down to that point. I'd take the tape out, of course. Okay, and then that's where you end up with this. So after your knot's done, you just pull your strings back down, and then that snugs it all up, and you've got an eye with a button, and you can add a carabiner to the end of it, or however you want to finish it up. Use it for your rope. These are about 15 feet long. I use my arm length to measure it. My arm length is probably about 5 foot 6 inches, 5.5 feet. That leaves me enough room to take off whatever work I need, come backwards so I can do my button and my eye. I believe that is it. I finally got around to finishing my part 3. Okay, enjoy. Leave comments if you have any suggestions or comments. That would be great. Thank you.